What's up, guys? Eli here. Back for a new stuff video. I'm just going to show some random new stuff I picked up over the last couple weeks. Super random, I guess you could call it. That's just kind of what I've been doing lately. I haven't really been, going after anything in particular, whether it be new albums or old albums. I mean, here and there a little bit, but I've just been kind of scooping up random stuff and kind of getting into some different things that I never really had gotten into before. So it's been enjoyable. I really can't complain. So I got all different stuff here. So I guess we'll just start with the CDs. That seems to be my thing. So this is a gift from a buddy of mine. Just something he had lying around and forgot that he had. He's not a collector, so he threw this my way. I guess it's all spoken word stuff. It's a compilation actually put out by a local record label that we have called Black House Recordings. So it's called Fear Power God. As you can see, these are the people that are on there. There's the back. Cool imagery and shit. So this is what... it's the track listing with the... Yeah. So yeah, all spoken word stuff, which is cool. I can get into that. Not anything I've really listened to before or owned or whatever, but I think it'll be interesting. It'll be cool. Next, we have an album I'm not really familiar with. I don't know if it's a soundtrack or exactly what it is. I could have at least done, a little bit of research. Came out in 1988. Got Vangelis with Direct. I love Vangelis. I am a big fan. I'm not going to pretend to know a whole lot about the dude's, complete body of work, because clearly I know nothing about this. But I'm a fan nonetheless. Maybe not a super old fan like maybe some people, but... All right, now this band, I've kind of always wanted to delve into, so I decided to finally do it. So I picked up 2 albums to see whether or not I wanted to continue. Should I get more? Should I stop here and, cut my losses? I'm kind of in the middle, but that said, I've checked out a couple other albums online that I did like, so I will buy some more from this band. But I don't think I'm going to like all of it. The band in question, Jethro Tull. As you can see, I got Thick as a Brick and Aqualung. Both came out on Chrysalis Records. This is one original, one repress. Aqualung came out in 73. Now, this is a repress too. This is an 84 repress. Thick as a Brick, I can't tell. It's got one of those fucking theft deterrent tags on there, covering up all the info. Damn, I did that with bare fucking hands. When did Thick as a Brick come out? Fuck, it doesn't say. This is a 98 repress. But anyways, enough of that. So I bought these both, just thinking that's a good place to start. I listened to Aqualung first. One time so far. Didn't really like it, man. Not bad. It's certainly not bad. My God is a very cool song. Everyone likes Aqualung. Cross-Eyed Mary's cool. I do think it's a good album. I just don't think it's it didn't do a ton for me. Now, I had heard, I'm more of a prog guy, and I'd heard that Thick as a Brick was like Jethro Tull's full fucking no more pussyfooting around, just full on prog. And I was kind of like I was kind of on the fence, like, is it, is this going to work for me? But it totally does. This album is awesome. Yeah, and it is exactly what I heard it was. This is a full on prog album, in the vein of like early Yes. So awesome. It's got all the elements that you like from Jethro Tull, from before it, the real early stuff, but so much more. There's Hammond organs all over the place. It's much more intricate and complex. It's a prog album. Like I said, it's like an early Yes album, but done by but Jethro Tull, with flutes and and you know the cool, you know, kind of folk stuff that they do. That, you know, Yes didn't do any folk, but still, if you're a fan of early Yes, definitely get this if you don't already have it. Super fucking good. I love this album. I've only heard it once, and I'm already like, yeah, I'm totally into it. So glad I got that. Like I said, not as big of a fan of Aqualung. I am going to pick up Stormwatch, which I think is one of the early 80s albums. Check that out online. Really fucking liked it. So, do I have any other prog stuff here? Maybe we can keep this. No, not really. I do have. I've been watching the YouTube channel called Sea of Tranquility. If you're not familiar with that, and you're like, if you're a prog guy, definitely go check that out. Pete's the guy that runs it. I guess he's had a website, Sea of Tranquility website, for years and years and years. I don't think he's been doing his YouTube channel for a long time, but maybe a while. So I've been watching the shit out of that. The guy's name is Pete. He's an older guy. Sorry for calling him that. He's not old. He's in his mid 50s, anyways. Super fucking cool. You know, he's been listening to, you know, rock and metal his whole life. You know, so he's been listening to metal since it became a thing. He's huge into prog, but he also, you know, he loves classic metal. He loves thrash. He even likes death metal, black metal, and this dude likes all the good shit. He's fucking awesome. Gotta check out his channel. So he pretty much unintentionally got me curious about this band, Traffic. Late 60s, early 70s, you know, rock band out of England, kind of famous for having Steve Winwood, who would go on to be like a big pop star, kind of cut his teeth in this band. And I never realized how talented Steve Winwood is. I mean, he's a multi-instrumentalist, not to mention a great singer and a good lyricist and everything. And so I found this real cheap, $12.99 really, so $13. It's got five of pretty much their best 5 albums in here. So it's a little box set, really cool. We got Mr. Fantasy, which is maybe my favorite so far. I'm still kind of delving into this. They're kind of like, you know, little, you know, kind of like mock vinyl sleeves. Real cool. This one came out in 67 on Island Records. Really dig this one. Then we've got self-titled Traffic. This one came out in 68. Island Records. I think these are in order. I'm not really sure. We've got John Barleycorn Must Die. Very folky. This one's very folky, I would say. Came out in 1970. Island Records. And we have Shootout at the Fantasy Factory. This might be my other favorite. This might be my favorite of all of them, actually. This is the one I think I like this one the most so far. I've only listened to these once, so I'll be listening more. 73, Island Records. And last but not least, The Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys. This came out in 71, Island Records. So, if you're wondering, you know, what the fuck do Traffic sound like? They're one of those cool bands that you really just can't pin down to one sound. Not at all. You know, they're a little bit of Psych, a little bit of Prog, a lot of folk, hard rock, maybe even some pop sensibilities here and there. These guys really mix it up, but I'd say the Psych and the folk influences are what really make this band special. Really cool. They'll have some songs that are just straight up folk music, and then they'll have some that are just like free jazz as well. So lots of jazz elements, just like long-winded free jazz songs. Really cool stuff. And none of their albums really have, at least none of these albums focus on like one sound. It's all those sounds, you know, put together. So really good stuff. If you haven't heard Traffic and you're into like, old 60s rock, on the, more on the experimental side, definitely go after some of their shit. Alright, what will I do next? We got a newer album. I think it's from 2014. 2014. Uriah Heep, Outsider. I like Uriah Heep. I've been kind of slowly getting into them for some years now. I wasn't really ever intentionally going to go after like their more modern stuff, but I've heard, especially by Pete, once again on Sea of Tranquility, he said their newer shit is really, really fucking good. So I hate to poke fun, but check out that guy's shorts, man. Those are the longest shorts I've ever seen. All right, sorry, I'm done. Haven't listened to it yet, but I heard it's real good, so I will be listening soon. Any Uriah Heep fans out there, what do you think? Man, this is quite the mixed bag. This one is... I had to go get this after hearing one song on YouTube, and I fucking loved it. Sadly, most of the rest of the album, at least for me, doesn't quite live up to that one song. There is one other song that is almost as good. So we're talking about Bloodletting by Concrete Blonde. Terrible condition, as you can see, but yeah, I just wanted it. Came out in 1990 on IRS Records. Black Sabbath were actually on that label at one point. Broken Case. So definitely check out the first song, Bloodletting, the vampire song. So good. It just kind of reminds me of like a mixture of early Typo Negative, maybe a little Danzig. It's awesome. It's super awesome. Like I said, most of the rest of the album, for me, doesn't live up to that. Caroline, track 3 is pretty good. Reminds me of like a Susie and the Banshees type song. To describe this band, I'm not really sure. From what little research I did, they kind of came out of like the post-punk scene. I think is kind of where they had their roots. Like I said, this came out in '90. So I can hear a little bit of that cool 80s post-punk. I can hear some alternative rock. Good album, like I said. I mostly like those 2 songs, but definitely check out Bloodletting, the vampire song. If you don't check out anything else, check out that song. It's so fucking cool. I made a bunch of my friends go listen to it. It's great. It's such a cool song. So I showed those John Carpenter albums not too long ago, so I went and picked up the Halloween soundtrack, 20th anniversary edition. I love John Carpenter, and this is a great soundtrack. Maybe his best, hard to say, another Broken Case. What makes this special being a 20th anniversary edition, I don't know what that means. Probably just, the record label using that to sell copies, but yeah, great soundtrack. Next we have a band who... I've liked this band for a long time. I don't have a lot of their stuff. They started off in the earlier 90s, as far as I can remember, being more of like a kind of a Hawkwind-ish, kind of space psych rock band. They were really, really good at that sound. As they got older, they would morph into kind of more of like a late 60s, early 70s kind of inspired garage rock type band. Just raw, garagey fucking rock and roll. Monster Magnet I'm talking about. This is God Says No. This came out in the, I can't see the release date, earlier mid-2000s. So this is, there are still some kind of psych rock elements on here, as I think they never really totally stripped those away. But yeah, really, really good album. I still prefer their earlier stuff, like Tab and Spine of God and stuff like that. But man, their later stuff is good too. It's just fucking rockin' rock music. This is an odd find, I thought, from my local record store. I remember discovering this album years and years ago, maybe 15 years ago on, I think it might have been on like the Boneyard blog or something like that. It used to be on really cool, classic metal blog. I don't even know if it still exists, but I discovered this, and it's always kind of been in my head for some reason. It's not great. I haven't heard it for a long time, and I never was blown away by it, but I always thought it had a certain charm to it, kind of just a kind of cool traditional metal sound out of Cleveland. We got Witch with Salem's Rise. re-released by, what is this, Eargasm Records. Not familiar with that, but they did a killer job. Wait, okay, so it originally came out on Eargasm Records. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if Eargasm Records are still a thing, but this is like, because I think this is a new repress. My local record store just got it, but yeah, old Cleveland, metal from 1985, kind of a classic traditional sound, maybe a little bit doomy, very raw, very amateurish. These guys I don't think had a ton of experience. They look like dorks, not to mention. But I don't know. I just always thought it had a certain charm to it, and I saw it, and it just kind of was like, oh, I need that. I probably don't need it at all. I'll probably listen to this once or twice, and who knows if I'll listen to it more after that. But I don't know. I kind of had a soft spot for it from years back, and of course I grabbed it like most of you guys would have too, if you were in the same position. And man, I have been slacking on 2020 releases. I think this is like the third new release I bought this year. So I'm probably missing out on some, maybe not a lot, but Vader, Solitude and Madness, Nuclear Blast Records. I've been a Vader fan for a long time. They are one of the death metal, bands that got me into death metal. Always loved them. I didn't buy their last album. I did listen to it once, and I didn't think it was that great. It just didn't do much for me. I like this one a little bit more, at least so far. I've only listened once, but short songs, a lot of attitude. They're kind of short and sweet. The songs are short. The album's fairly short. Can I really go into a whole lot of detail, to describe this? I don't want to just say it's Vader. What else do you need? I hate when people do that. Even bands that, have a signature sound and don't stray from it. That doesn't mean that they put out the same sounding album every time, and I don't want to make it sound like that. But it's good. I haven't listened to it enough to really, really, tear it apart. But it's a good Vader album. I'm glad I bought it. I like it more than the last album, even though I didn't think that was bad. I don't know. I just didn't feel the need to buy it. I'm not a big fan of Wes Ben Scotter's cover art. I feel like he has almost repeated this same cover, just slightly different a couple times, but this one's actually pretty cool. I do like this cover. Like I said, I'm just not a huge Wes Ben Scotter fan, but yeah, he did good on this one. Did I show the back? More cool stuff. Did I show the inside? Probably. It doesn't really matter. So that's it for the CDs. We got some books, some comics, even a movie, if you want to stay for that. If not, have a good day. If you're going to keep going, we got the same buddy that got me that Fear of God or whatever, that first CD that I showed. He got me this too. He found it. He was traveling somewhere and found it like a pawn shop or something. Still sealed. Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy, Jane Fonda. I've been wanting to see this movie for a long time, actually, and I've been meaning to pick it up. It came out in 1968, but I haven't seen it. So, all right, what do we have? We'll get into the books. I just bought this yesterday, actually. I saw it. I was like, that looks fucking cool. It's an anthology. I'm a big fan of anthologies. So we got The Ultimate Dracula. Stories by Anne Rice, Dan Simmons, Philippe Jose Farmer. Yeah. Love vampires and shit like that. Who doesn't? So, grab that. Should be an interesting read. In the vampire... while we're on the vampire topic, I picked up a couple more Necroscope books. Brian Lumley. So, Necroscope 5, Dead Spawn, Resurgence, The Lost Years Volume 2. I think I have The Lost Years Volume 1. So, haven't read any of the... I think I have like 5 or 6 Necroscope books now. I haven't read any of them, but I've been reading a lot lately, which is cool because I'd been trying to get back into reading for fucking years, and I finally did it. I'm only reading maybe a half an hour a day, but it's still cool. I missed it so much. I'm trying to keep that. I'm trying to stay doing that. I want to read at least a little bit every day. I feel like everyone should, man. Another big part of my childhood here. I've shown a couple books in some of my videos over maybe the last couple months. I picked up an original old copy, and then I even bought one of the reprints that kind of sucked. So this is the full box set. of all the original artwork and everything. Scary Stories, the complete 3-book collection. Big part of my childhood. So glad to finally have all of them again. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Cool, kind of glossy hologram type covers. That was the first one, and then they did more Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. All of them are great, by the way. And the last one was Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. Now, I mentioned this before, but I'll kind of go over it again. There was some legal thing going on for the longest time to where they couldn't repress these books with the original artwork. You know, some legal reason, but they finally ironed all that shit out, and yeah, so they reprinted them with the original artwork. The artist that did the other ones is pretty good, man. He's really good art still, but if you've read these books before, you know that you cannot fuck with the artwork in these books. It is what made a big part in what made these stories so good. Just some of the most disturbing, gruesome artwork, and in such a unique style. Yeah, it's amazing. You've probably read these, if you grew up in the 80s or even 90s like I did. But if you haven't, man, go get these. They're mandatory. And I picked up a couple comic books. As I showed recently, I got that copy of Kick-Ass issue 1. And I mentioned that I already had it, but I picked it up because I got it for $1 at one of my local stores, and it goes for pretty good money. I imagine that the next couple issues do as well, so I went and grabbed issue 3. Like I said, I already have these, but for $1, I couldn't pass that up because I'll trade them or sell them. They're worth way more than $1, so awesome. Here's a cool looking one shot that I just had to get. Criminal Macabre and the Goon. Cal McDonald from Criminal Macabre series. Written by Steve Niles, who's amazing. One of the best comic writers ever, and a hell of a guy too. Super cool guy. I met him at a Comic-Con once. Total gentleman. And then we have Eric Powell's The Goon. So we'll get to see him cross paths in this one shot, and that should be fun. Eric Powell's awesome as well. I mean, I haven't met him, but seems like a cool guy, and The Goon is fucking awesome. And then I also had, I thought I had another Goon comic. No, another Cal McDonald comic. Yeah, I haven't really heard of this series, but it's The Last Train to Deadsville. Cal McDonald mystery. Steve Niles, once again, teaming up with the amazing Kelly Jones. He did the Batman Nightfall story in the, what was that, late 80s? Whatever. Kelly Jones is a great artist. One of my favorites. So really cool to see him pair up with Steve Niles. I mean, just two of my favorite dudes in comics, hands down. This comic I do have from years back, but I couldn't remember if I had this variant cover or not. So snagged it. Savage Dragon, issue 1. I'm a big Savage Dragon fan. This guy even lives in my van. Savage Dragon action figure. So yeah. Savage Dragon fucking rules. I also have this from back in the day as well, but I picked it up, again for $1 because it came with a cool trading card. Man, I needed that trading card so bad. Pit, issue 1. The cool card. So I figured I would just take the card out and keep it and give away the comic. Like I said, I already have it. Last but not least, we have just a random issue, random Grendel issue. I love Grendel. I pretty much just have random issues. I think I don't have many continual issues. I just buy them whenever I find them. So issue 35, Orion's Sword, I guess this one's called. Grendel's awesome. I don't want to talk too much about comics because I don't think most of you are super into it. But as I've said before, I might show more. But maybe I'll separate them from music. That way, people can just choose not to watch it. instead of, starting a video, for CDs or whatever, and then, not watching the end. But anyways, blah, 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 blah. That's all I got. Let's talk about this stuff. Do you guys like Prog, Jethro Tull? Has anyone heard Traffic? And what do you think about the new Vader? Talk to me about any of this stuff. And thanks for stopping by. We shall talk soon. Cheers.